Hi, welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith. In this video, we're going to learn the 3 to 5 player game Pirate Den, published by Crash Games. Merchant fleets cross the seas, stuffed full of treasures for your pirate crew to plunder. You'll need to sail into battle, steal from the other pirates, and bury your loot. So join me at the table, and let's learn how to play. To set up, sort the deck of cards into separate piles based on their backs. Each deck contains the same variety of cards, so it doesn't matter which one you choose, but have each player choose one of them and the matching player board. We'll be setting up a 3-player game, so we'll return these to the box. These gems are referred to as loot, and we mix them into the bag. Then 3 are drawn randomly for each of the players, and the bag can be set aside for use later. These large tokens are called buried treasure and should also be set aside for use later. And that's the setup. In Pirate Den, players will be secretly assigning actions to plunder merchant vessels for their treasures, steal loot from other players, and then try to bury it so it can't be stolen from them. At the end of the game, the player who has the most wealth wins. The game is played over a series of rounds that are broken into 5 phases. In the first phase, you draw a random collection of gems from the bag to place in the center of the table, equal to the number of players times 3. So in this 3-player game, we'll draw out 9 gems. In future rounds, you will always draw this same additional number of gems during this phase, even if you still have gems left over in the center of the table. The one exception is if you're drawing gems from the bag and you run out, then just draw as many as you can. To make things easier for later, always sort the gems on the table into groups by their color. Players should also do the same thing for the gems that they currently have in their possession. Next is the select phase, and here players will simultaneously and secretly choose one of the cards in their hand to put face down in front of themselves. Now, you can certainly feel free to share with the other players what you've chosen, or lie about it. You are a pirate after all. Just so long as you don't actually show the card that you've chosen. Now we move on to the reveal cards phase, where all players flip their chosen cards face up. Now it's time for the resolve actions phase. Here we resolve the actions found on the cards that the players have revealed. So let's learn how these different actions work. Each will show 1 or more loot colors in this top banner, a symbol to represent the action type, and an initiative number ranging from 0 to 4. Players will resolve the revealed actions in initiative order, starting with the lowest value and then going up. All Initiative 1 actions show a single ship and one of the 3 loot colors. The person who played it then takes all the gems of that color from the center of the table and adds it to their personal collection known as their Pirate Den. Anytime, as we see here, more than one player plays an action with the same initiative order and color, they split the gems available in that color, leaving any extras that can't be split evenly. In our example, none of the players used an Initiative 2 action, but these show 2 ships and a combination of 2 of the gem colors in its banner. When these are resolved, the player collects all gems of both colors, if any remain on the table. Because it's possible, of course, that another player may have already taken some or all of the gems you had hoped to claim. That's the risk of playing a card with an initiative that acts later. Going back to our original example, before we started resolving these actions, remember, there were 5 blue gems here. So earlier in the round, when the players were choosing their actions secretly, this player might have considered, you know what, with all those blue gems there, I bet the other players are going to want to try to get them. And while they're fighting over the blue gems, I'll instead play this action and clean up all the rest of the gems that remain. This is where some of the table talk and bluffing and trying to outguess your opponents will benefit you. And once again, if anyone else also plays an Initiative 2 action, any colors you share cause you to split that loot between you. In this case, the player here would get all of the blue gems, this player would get all of the red, but they would have to split the yellow, each collecting one of them. However, in this case, neither of these players played these actions, so we'll ignore that. At Initiative Level 3, you'll see all 3 colors, so you can collect all remaining loot tokens in the center of the table. Again, splitting with anyone else who is also taking this action. This can allow you to collect a lot of gems, but remember, you're going near the end in the initiative order, so you'll only collect the gems that have not already been scooped up. An Initiative of 4 shows the steal action, and here you take all the gems of the color shown in this banner from the player who has the most gems of that color in their Pirate Den. So in this case, the player here has 2 yellow gems, which is more than either of the other player, So this player who's stealing would take both of them and add them to their pirate den. Now, if there had been more than one player tied for having the most of the color that was trying to be stolen, the steal action fails. Even in this case, where the person trying to steal is the person who's tied for the most gems. And let's look at another example. If two people are attempting to steal the same color, they split the gems evenly, leaving any leftovers with the player who was stolen from. There's one more very important action which has an initiative of 0 and shows the berry symbol. Each player has exactly one of these in their deck, but I want to wait and explain a few other rules first and then come back and explain this action, as it will make more sense then. Next is the final phase called Upkeep. Each player who played a card that gained them some gems will now discard that chosen action face down onto their player mat. If the action you played did not gain you any gems, then you simply take it back into your hand. You should also ensure that your gems are always organized into piles by color. This is just good etiquette so other players can easily see how many of each that you have. And that's the end of the round, and now you start a new one. But you're probably realizing, as you play, round by round, you're losing actions, because as you play them from your hand, you don't get them back. And that's why the berry action is so important. And we skipped that one earlier, so let's go back to it and see how it works. When resolving the berry action, you take back into your hand all previously discarded cards from your player mat, including the berry action itself. You may then trade in as many sets of 5 gems of the same color from your pirate den, taking buried treasure tokens in return. So I could trade in these 5 yellow gems and these 5 blue ones for 2 buried treasure tokens, which I place on the X's of my player mat. The gems that you trade in should be returned to the bag. The benefit of these treasure tokens is that they can't be stolen. So you might use a berry action even if you don't need your discarded action cards back. Also, the game ends when a player has at least 5 buried treasure tokens at the end of the round after the upkeep phase. Then, all players score their loot. You get 5 points per buried treasure token and 1 point for each loot gem you have remaining. The player with the most points wins. And if there's a tie, the tied player who has the most loot tokens of the same color wins. And that's everything you need to know to play Pirate Den. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.